Welcome back, Nap Netters, to this, the Never a Phase podcast. We're getting back into the normal swing of things with a band interview today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of it. Do me a favor, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast goodness. It really helps me out. So we're going to do a thing. I don't have a lot of reviews. I don't have a lot of ratings and things like that. So we are offering a t-shirt. If you are listening to this and you go give us a review during the next month, before my birthday is in the middle of August. We'll say that. That'll be a birthday present to you. By the middle of August, we're going to give a t-shirt away to one person who leaves a great review. It's got to be a 5-star review because it was never a phase. If you do that, I will send a t-shirt to one lucky winner. There you go. This show is brought to you by Eargasm Earplugs. Go ahead and use the code EMO10 to save 10% on your Eargasm Earplugs. Save those ears when you are out at the concerts this summer, the festivals. We are going to be at Warped Tour in Long Beach again. We got the awesome opportunity back in Washington, D.C., and now we get it again. Kanan will be our woman on the streets, talking to you, talking to bands. Maybe you can find her and play a game of Phase or Never a Phase yourself right there at Long Beach Warped Tour. So if you're going, please shout us out. We'd love to talk to you. Today, I get to talk to an Ohio boy. That's right. This was set up a while back. I do feel bad that with all the Warped Tour stuff, we've been sitting on this interview for a little bit. But this band is a personal favorite of Rob LaFoon from the Emo Kids Anonymous podcast, highly recommended to me. And then we had a great conversation. It goes into all kinds of things. Do you want to write emo music? Are you from the Midwest? This Ohio-based conversation. Do you want sort of overthrow the systems of capitalism that have become chains to our existence, but also need to pay bills and feed yourself and things like that. All of those things are kind of discussed in this interview. So we're going to kick to it right now. We won't waste any more time. This is Never a Phase 17, and this is Scarlet Street. My guest tonight is from the post-hardcore band out of Cincinnati, Ohio. The latest album for the band is called No Alternative and was released back in October. This album challenges our current social media age, the shiny happy people, everyone pretending that everything is normal and okay. We know it is not. Also recently announced a vinyl edition of that No Alternative album that you can pre-order right now, because today we're putting the Midwest back in Midwest emo, as we got two Ohio boys talking today. I welcome to you now Ben from Scarlet Street. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Chaotic day today so far, but I think this is the highlight.
Hopefully it'll be the highlight. Don't put too much pressure on me. Before we get into it, why don't you introduce the players? Who are you in the band? What's the band comprised of? And how'd you guys get started?
Yeah, so I'm Ben. I play guitar and I sing. And I guess I founded the organization that's known as Scarlet Street. And then we have Luke, who couldn't be here today. Luke shows he plays guitar, co-writer extraordinaire, backup vocals, all that good stuff. Jacob Leach, drums, comic relief, pun master, and then we just added our good friend Will to the mix. He's going to be picking up on bass for us. He's taking over for Rob, who's left and doing his own thing. But yeah, we've got a little growing family, I guess you could call it. So
how long have you guys been playing together?
Let's see. I mean, we started as a solid 3-piece in about 2020, 2019. And then we added Luke just after our self-titled. So we've been a 4-piece since pretty much 2023.
So many bands that we've talked to. I don't know if it's just about the emerging markets or whatever, but so many bands that we've talked to that seem to be at that 2019, 2020, all the COVID stuff. I don't know if it was just there's nothing better to do for a couple of years, or if it just really rekindled in people the idea of wanting to make music. But I know so many people that started in that time frame.
Yeah, so I think 2020 was interesting. The COVID pandemic aside, we had actually played a few shows here and there as Scarlet Street before then, but hadn't really put out much of anything. Nothing was recorded yet. You would think 2020 would make you like pretty much I had accepted around 2020, 2019. I was like, you know what? I don't think this is happening. I don't like think this is going anywhere. And then you would definitely think like worldwide pandemic would be like the death knell of that. And it just wasn't. I don't really know what happened. I mean, I think we found Jacob. He was kind of like all in, and he wasn't in seven other bands like every other drummer is. And he like saw what we were kind of doing at the time, especially. It was like, okay, yeah, this will be my thing. I'm all in on this. So it was cool. Once you have like some stability, which is again hilarious that 2020 was the year of like, yeah, we got some stability. Let's do this. Um, so we just started actually getting together on a monthly basis and actually writing new stuff. It wasn't just me with like an acoustic guitar doing like essentially a solo band with two traveling members kind of thing. It was like a collaborative thing. So I don't know. Once you have like the players in place, regardless of what's going on in the world, I think that like makes you want to do something seriously.
I remember, I feel like that happens to a lot of bands, though, exactly what you said. Like, I remember like my own band, like feeling like I was like the driving force of like everything. I was the business end, I was the creative end, I was all of it. And then you just had like bit players who, you could have subbed any of them out at any time. But to find people that are really actually invested in the process, it's harder and harder, I think. And so that's cool that you guys connected. I wanted to ask you a question as a guy from Northern Ohio. So you're from Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
What's it like living in Kentucky? How's that?
Oh my gosh, this guy. I see. Kentucky is an underrated state. I'm okay with that. You know.
So obviously in Ohio, there are a lot of jokes and things like that. That Cincinnati is kind of disconnected from the rest of the state. What do you feel about Cincinnati? The scene there. How's that emerging? What's happening in music for you in the Cincinnati?
Cincinnati's in a weird place. It's like such a small market compared to the size of the actual city itself. We've got like a ton of venues. We've got, a ton of infrastructure for live music. And I don't think there's that many bands. There's like less than a handful, I'd say, of like alternative bands, and alternative being like an all encompassing word, it's bizarre. I don't get it. We used to have like a lot of bands.
Well, it's funny that you said that because I even like looking up like historic acts from Cincinnati. Like I was trying to look up just before we did this because I knew I was going to make that joke. 'Cause I'm a terrible person. But I was like, okay, like who are the big like scene bands? And I'm going back. I'm like, is it like we can claim the National kind of and like Foxy Shazam? Like, are those our bands? Like what were there bands that you saw? Did you grow up in Kentucky? Are the bands that you saw regularly? Like who was it that you inspired you to start doing some of this, at least in that region?
The Dopamines. There's a
The
band, a punk
Dopamines, that's a
band.
good choice.
Yeah,
Yep.
I I think I remember seeing. So I went to see a No Effects show at Bogarts, and I was huge into No Effects. Like I loved the snotty, ridiculous punk, right? And it says something when a band as eccentric as No Effects is, in my opinion, upstaged by like local. I mean, this crowd they had a crowd of people just throwing beer cans at them the whole show. And they were just, I have never seen like a friendly antagonistic, relationship between crowd and band as they achieved that night. And that stuck with me forever. And what's funny is I had my friends telling me for years that I needed to check out the Dopamines. And I have, I to my detriment, I'm like critical of anybody who's got a claim, right? So like I held off watching Breaking Bad for like 10 years. Uh so when I finally was like forced to see them live, I was like, "Oh, I get it now. This is the best thing ever." So yeah, the Dopamines they changed everything for me. I think as fun and like ridiculous as they are live, I think there's some dark, serious subjects in those songs too that is so opposite of like their whole image. But just it's smart music, it's smart lyrics, and three guys pretending to be dumb all the time. I love it.
That's that's a fan culture thing. I think, like you said, putting off watching Breaking Bad. Like, I never watched, even though I like some high fantasy stuff. Like, I never watched Game of Thrones. Like, I still haven't. Like, I'm just stubborn about it. Everyone was like, "You got to watch Game of Thrones." I'm like, "Well, now you've hyped it up too much. Like, I'm done. I can't do it." I was the same way back because I'm stupid old. So I way back in the day with like Fallout Boy when they were putting out From Under the Cork Tree and Take This to Your Grave. Like even the early ones, I remember people being like, "You got to listen to Fall Out Boy, you love them." And I'd be like, "No, you've made it too much of a thing now. I can't do it." And
Yeah.
it was like years later, I was finally like, "Oh yeah, that band was pretty good. I guess they were all right." Because I'm old, so I'm going back like 20, 25 years. I remember playing and going down. We would play Dayton. Cincinnati was like a closed off, like nothing. We played Dayton, and so I think of bands that came out of Dayton, Devil Wears Prada, Hawthorne Heights, stuff like that. When you were coming up, did it feel? I mean, you said there were bands that you guys had, but did it feel like it was out of the city still for the bands that were getting that acclaim?
So what's funny is I was actually born in Dayton. So
you were okay. So
yeah.
You drove past Needmore Road. You were there when the Guitar Center opened at the mall. You
yeah. Yeah, that's where I asked my mom to drive me to after, school so I could waste an hour.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Attic and what was the other? I've actually
Gathering
slept
Grounds was the
yeah, I
one
was
that I
about to.
guessed.
The Gathering Grounds is me and Luke actually we did a thing when we were kids where we told our parents we were sleeping over at each other's houses and we just like stayed out and had a blast. And I was 16 at the time. We pulled my car into the parking lot of Gathering Grounds, and since we lied to each other's parents, we had to sleep somewhere. That's where we slept. Gathering Grounds parking lot. By the time I was like playing music, the Gathering Grounds was like gone. That's why I was able to sleep in its parking lot. It was a bygone era, and it's weird because again at the time I was like all my friends were really into this stuff, and I thought it was like whatever. And I don't know, but by the time I was probably like the demographic age of like what made sense for that, it had passed. It was gone.
Yeah, it was gone. Yeah. I remember I played the Attic, I played Gathering Grounds, and we drove through one time and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna drive by, see what's up with the Attic." And it just like a shell. It was just empty and dead. And I was like, "Oh man." But there was something Ohio about that to me as well. So I mentioned, I think off air, but like we have a mutual friend. We have Rob, our left coast elitist brother here. I wanted to just ask you because he and I go back and forth. He's got a little bit of that like Berta identity. It feels a little Midwest, but he's definitely a California guy. I think there is something about the Midwest. There is something about Ohio that this angsty music, I call it depressing music. It's often got hope tinged with it, but like this struggle music really has a hotbed here. What was it like growing up Cincinnati, Dayton area, Ohio, that when you then become an artist yourself, that's the kind of sound that pours out of you?
I think culturally, and I think this has probably gotten a little more intense over the last like 10 or so years. I think like the Midwest gets like the scraps of like the cultural scraps, so to speak. Everything's always happening in New York or LA. And you're so close to, and Chicago for that matter. And I love Chicago, not to throw you guys under the bus, Chicago people, but you guys get everything.
I just went to Chicago after spending a little time there. I was like, this is a city cosplaying as the Midwest. It's not really quite the same.
Yeah, and I love Chicago, and I think it's because I'm weirdly like a East Coaster at heart, but that's why I love Chicago is because I feel like they just took a big chunk of New York and just moved it right into the middle of Illinois. But yeah, I think there's a scrappiness, especially, and Dayton is sort of on the edge of this. I think a lot of Rust Belt specifically, because not all the Midwest is Rust Belt. I don't know if people. Mm-hmm. If you were in the Rust Belt, if you're from central Pennsylvania, you are weirdly kind of Midwest, kind of Rust Belt. And, if you're from up, North, Indiana, you know what I'm talking about, but, or Michigan. And I think, like I said, there's a lot of scrappiness because we all know the history growing up. I mean, my next door neighbor was a GM plant that closed in 2004. And that just sits there all the time. I look out my backyard and it's there. I know why that shut down. I know what's happened. The economy shat the bed. And
Mm-hmm.
we see the ghosts of it all the time. And where, if there's no opportunities, the people who make culture leave. So I think there's a chip on our shoulder. I think there's an underdog mentality because we generally don't come from rich families, and we have to pick up and make our own culture that is independent of East and West Coast. And I think that's why there's, I don't know, there's a little bit of blue collar to it too, just a little bit. There's struggle because it's the opportunities you got to find here, or you got to be rich, or come from a rich
Right.
family. But yeah, it was just scrappiness.
I think this starts to speak to some of the music that you make, and especially some of the themes that we saw in No Alternative. But what something you just said that struck with me. It wasn't necessarily my dad personally, but my dad was involved in the auto industry. But like certainly for my extended family, this idea of Jeep in Toledo, Jeep holds our entire livelihood together. And there's always the threat that the bigwigs at Jeep are going to leave Toledo and it would destroy the town, which happened. Like things got smaller. We had a bunch of manufacturing that left. GM, all kinds of same things you're talking about. And I think that there is something, I don't know. It's like it's depressing. It's angsty of just constantly having like the corporate overlord. Like at any time, we'll just rip your whole city apart. And there'll be nothing left because you don't have anything else. And so I think that puts guys like us into garages or basements or whatever to try to feel alive, to try to feel like we have control over something,
Yeah, because the options either make something or drink all day.
Right. And I'm sure, once again, we're from similar places. I'm sure you have a lot of family members that probably chose that path too, because I know I
For
did.
sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of unrest. Speaking to that, though, like I think when I was growing up, there was a part of me that was like, I can't wait to leave all this. I can't wait to get away from this. There is something I love about it, though. There is something that is uniquely me. Like you mentioned, everything happening, even with the group of friends that I have talking about like concerts and festivals and things they go to. Like when I explained to them, I was like, it is not nearly as easy for me to sneak out to some of these giant things as it is for you guys. Like I can't even get a decent flight to where you're going
Yeah.
from where I'm at. But there is something I love about it. Like, so I saw a recent post from you guys talking about project that you want to do that maybe highlights Cincinnati more, the culture, the bands that come out of that. Have you so you've fallen in love with Cincinnati? You love the bands that work there and make their art there. What's the Cincinnati scene like today, and what are you doing to cultivate it and raise those voices up?
Yeah, I think we've got like a lot of people who work hard, maybe not specifically just in music. Like their scope is a little bit bigger than just in the arts in general. Like we've got, like I said, we've got some great venues here. We've got, a community that wants to make live music happen, wants to highlight kind of a lot of these bands that are coming up have worked their asses off, and I think a lot of the promoters in this area know that, and it's a struggle to make live music. So it's kind of cool how we're all on the same page about like, hey, let's highlight the underdog in the theme of being Midwestern, right? And so I think also just even beyond music, we've got some of the coolest restaurants in my opinion, the world here. It's I uh I think Over the Rhine is just my neighborhood in Cincinnati is like the coolest neighborhood in the world. I've seen every other neighborhood like in LA and Chicago and Brooklyn, and you guys are cool, but like I would die for my country of Over the Rhine. Like that's how I feel. So like I don't know, I just want to highlight that, and we've got three really cool venues on my street, which not every street can say, and I think we really just want to at the same time show the rest of the music scene like, hey, we're here. You got to come to us. You got to find us, but we're here. You might be missing something. So, yeah, we'll have something pretty cool coming up with the larger scene, trying to bring as much of that scene here coming soon, and I'm pretty stoked on that.
Now, Over the Rhine specifically is funny because I don't know once again how much things have changed, but I feel like that's a neighborhood that some folks would have thought was a little rough. Is
What
that and
is?
that's your cut? It is okay. I mean, good. I
It's
said, but like,
it's changed. It's changed a lot, especially since like 2008. It hit like an all time low back then. It's still got the character. I will say. I it hasn't been completely gentrified, and I'll see to it that they never fully finish that.
I think that speaks to what we're saying there too. Some of those places that were like the scene of the hardest struggle are the places that then people want to beautify because it represent something about like the human spirit or whatever. But you can definitely take it too far where it loses um, the charm that made it what it was, and you don't want to do that. I think that once again speaks to maybe some things that influence your band lately. I saw just a lot of the theming about some of your music lately and maybe coming out of No Alternative, a lot of pushback on the corporatization of music, algorithms, AI, social media, all that kind of stuff. Did that specifically influence writing No Alternative? Is that something that, as you guys pressed that, you experienced more? What influenced the writing of that album, and then how you guys have released music since then?
I think like when we were writing and finishing up, really probably around the process of recording and then starting to release singles from the first album, there was like it was a fun record, the self-titled first album, and we still love playing it. We still love it, but I think we felt like we hadn't quite touched on something that was probably on the forefronts of our minds. And it was kind of like, cool, we did this, but like, this is what's occupying all my like thoughts. And I think, I mean, as we're online more and more every day, as we kind of have to use systems and products and stuff that everybody, that every corporation seems to own. Anytime you find something cool, it's bought by a mega corporation or something. It is becoming increasingly apparent to, I think, even the, most happy-go-lucky person in America, or maybe it's all around the world, that things are constantly taken out of your control. I think that the whole album in general kind of speaks to like you don't have control anymore. Like every time we get on, like every time I get on Twitter at least, or any Instagram, social media, whatever, it's just I'm constantly blasted with this is what we thought you should have. Uh, the, to the suicidal tendencies. You thought this was in my best interest. It's just what it feels like every day. You have no control. Like you log on to Netflix, it just feels like, hey, we got rid of your favorite show because we needed, to free up 10 billion to buy Friends reruns or something like that. Like it's you don't own anything, you don't control anything, and every day it just feels like more and more somebody much richer than you decides how your life goes. And I don't know. As 2020, let's see, we recorded that in 2024, right? So as 2024 kind of progressed, that was just dominating the lyrical writing. I wrote probably like 3 or 4 notebooks of just stuff that I was like frustrated about, angry about. And it felt good. I mean, really, to just get that out. Um, even if it just bombed, I was just like, whatever. This was completely authentic, if nothing else, and it felt good to just do that, even if it was, I don't know, about something inconsequential and innocent. It was kind of two things at once. I felt like we were speaking to something that was on the forefront of probably most people, or at least a lot of people's minds. I mean, so how many people are on social media now? Like almost everybody. And also being authentic and writing about something that felt like you didn't have a filter. It's rare to get to do that and have anybody listen to it, and if 5 people listened to it, we would have been happy. But it just felt good. It really did. It felt good to be angry, and sometimes we should be.
Even if it's screaming into the void sometimes, I think is what people really struggle with is, well, we can't change any of it. It's like, well, yeah, especially if you don't talk about it, especially if you don't acknowledge it. Like one thing, I mean, this will frustrate me forever because I'm, from the old days of social media. Yeah, I loved the idea of the algorithm and curating things to my tastes originally. Like when it was first happening, I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Like you know the things I like. That's cool. But increasingly over time, you can see like Instagram, I think, is one of the biggest offenders of this, but Facebook was before. Like you start scrolling through and you realize, like, oh, half the stuff I'm seeing isn't even people I followed
No.
or follow me or anything like it's the people I do follow, and then you plug in like 5 straight things of like, we think you'll like this to try to like entice us. And so it's gotten to a point where, I think of the things that I like and the things I have connected with lately, and it's just like, did I really like that? Or was it just like beat into my brain 10 times? And it was like, once I heard it 10 times, I was like, I do like that song actually, even though I kind of didn't. And like you said, the only way to get there is have enough money to buy a bunch of ad space or whatever. Like it's a very weird game we're playing. How do you guys navigate that as a band?
That is probably the hardest thing to reconcile, because every day I get on there and there are numbers games to play. There's things we should be doing that we increasingly don't do to get people's attention, and it's simply because I don't know. We all read the article about geese. Like how do you even compete against that? Like you need a machinery of just insane amounts of either money or connections, and it's just really defeating to get on there. And what's funny is it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we're getting on social media to try to promote a album that's about how much this sucks. So, what's cool is we got to do that kind of on our own terms, and I think you'll see we'll probably start doing more of that. Using it to disrupt as much as possible, and maybe a crazy following will happen where we all just try to collectively make the wheels of oppression grind to a halt using the tool. I don't know. We could try.
We can try. I mean, that's such a weird place to live in, and I live there too, because the only reason I have a voice, the only reason I'm talking to you is because I one day blew up on the algorithm decided one day that my voice mattered, and so I have, it's just a little bit more followers than other people or whatever, and so I get to talk to people, and it's like that's such an addicting thing, and I think I struggled with it for a year and a half or something, of being like, the current system wants you to be authentic in the least authentic way possible. Like, they're like, oh, be real so that people like you, but also follow this complete box. And it's really hard to separate yourself from that, because then you feel like you're losing your voice. And certainly with a band, like I consider myself, I'm not a musician anymore, but if I was in your shoes, like the desire to compromise so that the system sets you up, I can't imagine fighting that every day. It's really interesting. I'm happy to read. I don't know if you're into this kind of stuff. I happen to be reading Dungeon Crawler Carl right now. I don't know if you're familiar with that book or anything.
No, I'm not. No, I'm interested.
Well, Dungeon Crawler, it's a like fantasy RPG kind of thing. It's sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons world, but the premise of it is Earth is overtaken by an evil corporation, essentially, that is running a D&D campaign to see if you can survive. And very early on, the main character realizes that there's an AI and there's overlords that if you appeal to them, your chances of surviving the game increase. And so the whole series has this undercurrent of, just like you're saying, he wants to destroy the machine. These people are his enemies. But how much do I have to dance that I get the opportunity to bring down the machine? And that to me just is such a allegory for everything in social media. Like, I have to stay relevant so that I have the opportunity to push bands like you who might disrupt the scene as it is. And I hate it. I really do. But like, that's just where we're at.
It's like wagging the dog. I mean, like who's playing who, really? And when you look at how big of a machine it is, you go, well, there's no way I'm gaming the system, right? Like
Right.
maybe we are. I don't know. They do. They know. That's what
And just like you
sucks.
said, that expands to every part of our lives. And I don't think it's new because, like we said, our dads or granddads or uncles or whoever working at GM, they were still stuck in the
Yeah.
same situation. But yeah, just the idea that everything we do depends on this court. We got really philosophical now and kind of went off. But like, I think to your point of your album and some of the other things I've seen you guys write about the music, I feel like there's so many people that are just pretending like that's not running in the background of our entire lives, that there is a
Yeah.
corporate overlord or there is an AI or whatever that decided what you liked. And we're just like, okay, that's what I like now. And at least confronting it, like you said, I think feels a little like freedom.
It does. And that's like really, I mean, I, I think when we finished up the first album, it was kind of angry, but it was more angry about like personal relatable things. I think, like, relationships falling apart, being angry at friends, or watching people do frustrating things. And so it's not like I feel like we whiffed on that or something, but like I think like I said, leading up to us going into studio, that's all I could think about was like, this is like constantly in the like this we are getting just push this constantly. And I think a lot of bands or artists and anybody who like partakes in some sort of cultural creativity has to decide, and there's no right or wrong answer to this. I just mean generally, like, am I going to lift up good things or am I going to expose bad things? And I think there's a lot of I think it kind of talks to how people feel. There are a lot of bands right now that are grinding, that want to lift up good feelings. So I kind of felt like this was our way of like, okay, well, if you want the other option, here's our very despondent, angsty frustration album that people can partake in instead of highlighting the good feelings. So you get a blend. Certainly, you can't just wallow in terrible thoughts constantly either.
I mean, there is room for hope, but I think, yeah, punk, in any of its forms, we always get into genre debates around here about what's emo, what's punk, what's
Yeah,
hardcore, that kind of stuff. But, punk in any of its forms, I think, is supposed to expose that stuff. And, specifically through like the emo lens, it started like, oh, all the punk is political. Let's talk about more of the personal things. I'm now in a
yeah,
space where I'm now in a space where it's like, maybe we need a few more of these bands tackling stuff outside of our own bodies and our own households, and looking at some of the bigger picture. We could maybe overcorrect back a little bit for a while.
yeah. That's a good point. I never really thought about that, about how emo was the response to "We get it, Reagan sucks." Like
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. That's a good point.
yeah. I mean, once again, this is like my little space in the world, but you know, there it was. It was. I mean, in DC specifically, Reagan sucks. The economy shit. All that kind of racism's rampant, and the guy's just being like, "Yeah, but I'm also like heartbroken, and I'm not sleeping well, and I'm addicted, and like
Yeah,
maybe I'll write about that for a while." And so, or my friends are addicted. And so for me, once again, coming up in the world that we did with like a stiff upper lip, Midwest German, like we don't talk about our feelings. Emo was very freeing to me. And certain levels of punk were very freeing to me when it was like, man, I just talk about like, I suck, life sucks. But now, no, like we're back to, there are systematic things that maybe we should be screaming about, that help make this suck. And I wonder if we're too far gone in the corporate AI structure for, even like a Nirvana or somebody like that, like somebody that like goes against what is popular culture for a minute to break through. Um, or if it's always going to be like, for anyone to get that far, they'd have already had to compromise. I don't know. The music industry is a hard place right now, man.
it really is. I'm seeing some reasons for hope, to be honest. Like I think we can't just, if you think of like social interaction as food, like we're getting fed pop rocks constantly, and eventually we're going to reject that. Like we can't sustain ourselves on that. We're eventually just going to go, fuck this. I'm canceling Twitter, whatever. And I mean, some people can't. Some people will, be addicted to it forever, and that sucks, and that's a sad story. But I think we will see. And I really think this year may be a big step in it, 2026, where we see people increasingly going, "What the fuck am I doing on here?" And start to crave more social interaction in person, or at least one on one, maybe outside of an algorithmic, situation, or without a feed, without somebody deciding what you're listening to for you. I think there's a lot of cracks happening in a good way. So, as you know, I am a little bit hopeful, just a
That's
smidge.
a sincere hope for me, because I have wondered, like, even with my own generation, like we're eventually gonna like push back on all this, right? Like we have to, just things get more fake and more fake and more fake. It's a struggle. Yeah, we went to a whole different place here, man. On the subject of music, though, you guys got kind of a grungy, shoegazy, post-hardcore. You got like that kind of sound. I will describe, once again, take this for whatever it is and go with it wherever you want. A lot of the last album reminded me of a Long Island band that we don't talk about anymore, which is a compliment, even if it's not, that kind of thing. But no, like that's music that I love and kind of grew up on. What influences were you bringing into your music, or are you bringing into your music? Who inspired you? Were you listening to music this early on? Like what goes into the writing of your songs, and who do you think helped shape that?
I always try to listen to my influences. So like, a ton of dude. We wrote this album, we recorded this album in New Jersey. We recorded the last album in New Jersey.
That tracks. No.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a New Jerseyan 90% of my day. So, the early November Thursday, the best hits, saves the day. Like, it's no coincidence it sounds like Long Island hardcore meets, Jersey emo. And that's just because I think band, and it's even more like, Glassjaw and like Refused and stuff like that. I think you need an intensity to match the moment. And if we're pretty angry about things, those guys were pretty good at being angry and expressing it. But I think it's not enough to be like, because we would sound like, I don't know, Black Flag if it was just about anger. I think there needs to be some kind of delicacy in music too. Because the first moment, I've said this with other people, I think the first moment I realized I loved music was listening to Smashing Pumpkins. And
Okay.
they did something that because I loved Nirvana growing up, but Nirvana didn't do the same thing as Smashing Pumpkins, and that was like get soft and like in their feelings a lot.
Mm-mm.
Like Kurt Cobain was, open about whatever he was talking about, which, lyrically was always a little vague, but he was always usually screaming, or yelling, or uh it's like Billy Corgan Smashing Pumpkins were like, okay, we're gonna like have a 20-piece orchestral set here. And like
Right.
that, I don't know, that sort of like, I think those two like mixed together, of like Nirvana doing the screaming and then the quiet stuff, and then Smashing Pumpkins being able to be like, and we're gonna like make this kind of artsy, was like, that was like groundbreaking to me as a kid when I first picked up a guitar.
Sure. I mean, Smashing Pumpkins, but Billy Corgan specifically in Smashing Pumpkins is a very interesting, like, talk about guys that like don't really fit in, guys and girls who don't fit in to any genre, like plainly, like cleanly. So like I remember like they were getting, because I think I've heard him talk about it, like Bullet with Butterfly Wings kind of becomes a reaction to everyone being like, "Oh, well, you're one of those grunge bands. You're with those grungy bands. Why don't you write us a grunge hit?" And he writes a grunge hit,
Yeah.
and everyone he expected it to almost be like, "Look, it's a joke. Like it's we call Bullet with Butterfly Wings. Like it's." And then everyone's like, "Yes, write us 10 more." And he's like, "No. Like, wait, that's not." And also, they were sort of like the goth industrial side. You could slot them in with Nine Inch Nails, kind of
Yeah.
like you could you throw them on a tour with Marilyn Manson, but they weren't really that either. And so the Smashing Pumpkins is a really interesting one. And Billy Corgan, I mean, that's an interesting life. Billy Corgan
Yeah.
both loved and hated in every corner of the music industry, I think. So I could see where that influence would also leave you, once again, a little more introspective, a little more not feeling at ease or at home in the system as it is.
Yeah, they were phenomenal. I think it's funny as I get older, like Melancholy was like it for me when I was like, 12, and which is funny because I think that album was probably over 10 years old by the time I got around to it. But it's like funny as I get older, I like everything outside of Melancholy more. Like their later albums, which I feel like can border on damn near like new metal cheesy, like
Mm-hmm.
way over the top, like trying to fit into the 2000s. But then they had like a nearly entirely acoustic album with electronic drums and for over the whole thing. And yeah, the man puts his foot in his mouth a lot, but like I get that feeling overlooked or feeling like you don't belong, I guess is
Yeah.
that's so relatable to me. And I think that's something that's missing too, is like he's not trying to be relatable. He is relatable in those lyrics, at least to me. I think we need more people who just are relatable, not trying to be relatable.
Yeah. Tying in another thing I'm nerdy about, like the guy just one day says I'm buying a pro wrestling organization and just puts his whole self into that. He's like, this is what I'm doing
Yeah.
now. It's like, why is Billy Corgan out there talking to the oiled up greasy guy? It's like, because that's what Billy Corgan wanted to do today. So
Uh,
I have a weird relationship with Billy Corgan. I don't think he was ever my favorite, but I think it's hard not to respect. And certainly those two albums, was it Siamese Dream and Melancholy? Like
oh
those
yeah.
two back, like that's a crazy back to back, and they were big albums too, weren't they? Those were those both double albums?
Yeah, I think Siamese Dream was like a normal single LP, and then yeah, there's 28 or something tracks on Melancholy, which
Yeah, so
y- I
there's
can
a
say this
crazy
was
output.
I can say this because I'm a big fan. I think it probably could have been like 16, but it's okay. I'm happy it exists. I'd rather have too much than not.
It is weird that I think about that now because I consider that one like probably the commercial height, and then it was like
Yeah.
a 28 track. Like that's who was doing that. Hey, let me talk to you real quick about your band name, about Scarlet Street. Is that from the movie from the 40s?
Yes. Yeah,
It is.
good catch.
Good catch. Well, so what was interesting, once again, I'm trying to I do my research, dang it. I did a little deep dive. I was trying to look into, and then I found it interesting looking up the movie. So that's a movie about stealing art, essentially.
Huh. True.
Is that on purpose? Was that the choice?
No. So it's funny because I when it kind of came time to name a band, I was like, at the time especially, I was like, well, what am I really into? Like, what do I want to say about this band name? Because it's kind of, once you pick one, it's really hard
You
to
got to stick,
not.
yeah,
Yeah. So
and make sure it's Googleable. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I've seen like other bands just like make up words, which weirdly in retrospect, I mean, kind of works. But yeah, I was really into film noir. And weirdly, like my favorite film noir is called Crisscross, but that, first off, that's already a rap group, so that would be
They make you
weird.
jump. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. And I just, yeah, that would have been, I don't know, it wouldn't have, that would not have fit. It wasn't a good like alternative rock name. Oh, I went through like my list of like what are my favorites, and like I think that was like fourth on the list. I was like, that ain't bad, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. There, it was there.
Sounded cool enough. The
Yeah,
the fact that now it kind of deals with stealing art, we could do something with that though. We could
yeah. We'll edit this and we'll make it so everybody thinks that's what it's about. Yeah, it's like
a
it's a
15
thesis.
the 15-second TikTok clip will just be like, yeah, it's about stealing art and our culture today, and we'll sound very intelligent or something.
Yeah, yeah. Or we could go the opposite way. We make it really dumb. Whatever works, whatever sticks.
I was talking to a younger musician, the last interview I did. He speaks in 15-second sound bites and stuff like that. And there was just a point where it was like sort of like we're saying, I was like, I can fight this or I can embrace it, and we can do like the
Yeah.
just most fun, stupid version. I think he's a lot more intelligent than he lets on, but that he's learned the art of how to get people to pay attention. And where do you make those compromises? Where do you do that just so people hear your stuff? And
See, what you're telling me is I'm doing this all wrong. Is I do this in person with people, and then when I get on like an interview like this, I'm like, okay, we got to be pretty level here. We're gonna be
we're
normal.
serious artists. Well, that's why you guys have a Rob LaFoon to advocate for you, who will come out
true.
and twerk in his little shorts and flip his zins into the air and all that kind of fun stuff.
Slap Scarlet Street stickers on his ass or some shit.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I'd like to get a little bit of the taste of like how people are making it work right now. You guys are all still grinding, having regular jobs and things like that. How do you guys make playing shows, recording music? How do you make time for that? What did your recording and playing look like now, and how are you guys setting that up?
Yeah, so we're finally getting together like once a month, and at least sometimes twice. And we've had a lot of time off. We haven't played a show since like November of last year. So we've like had a shitload of time to refine like what we do live. And I like to us when we play, we want to make sure people go, holy shit, I'm seeing that band for $15. And you've probably seen your share of local shows that you walked away going, I paid $15 for that. Yeah. So we're like really into that idea right now of, yeah, you can stream this whenever, you don't own that, but what you do own is that, moment where you got to see this in person, and that lives with you forever. So like, that's like to us, the most important thing of what we do. The album's cool, like, and it says something, and that will exist forever. But like, if we can take what that album feels like and just throw it out there in person, that's what we live for. So yeah, we're like, we're really getting that like refined as much as possible. That's what we want to do. And or hoping this year we can kind of take it out and bring it to the people is the idea. So yeah, that's and you're with the economy the way it is. Um what's the thing they said in during the pandemic, like every commercial, in these trying times.
In these trying times, yeah.
In these trying times, it's very important you buy Goodyear tires.
We're going on a massive tour. We're going to spend $10,000 in gas. We're going from Cincinnati to Columbus to Cleveland to Toledo and back down again. That's as far as we make it.
Yeah. We'll figure that out. We'll go bankrupt doing it. But some inklings of new music are coming. I think we got some wildly unhinged shit we're gonna try. Maybe later this year, probably later this year. Yeah. We've got an alter ego we're kind of working on too. That's just, if you thought No Alternative was inspired by Long Island hardcore, this is, we'll just mask off. So we're working on a split EP with the alter ego of ourselves. 50% of this is going to be Scarlet Street. The other 50% is going to be Bud Manstrong, the alter ego of Scarlet Street, the Long Island hardcore New Jersey basement version.
So you are jumping fully into that. We sound like a New Jersey band. Let's just be a New Jersey band.
Yeah. It weirdly, what's funny is I feel like it's a mix of what we kind of wanted the first album to be like, and the second album. So the second album, I think, is actually more Scarlet Street than the first album. But the first album, I don't think we had that sound yet. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the dumb, fun, loud, snotty basement show. That's Bud Manstrong, and then the more sophisticated but also equally as angry Scarlet Street. I think that's the goal.
Bud Manstrong.
Yes.
All right.
People who are into oh my gosh, what's the show? Venture Brothers. He's a Venture Brother minor character for like a half an episode. You know, you gotta just. It felt right. It felt like a New Jersey band. So we'll do something like that. You'll see. It'll be fun, and
Okay.
yeah, we'll. It's great because I'm promising all these things, and it's now it's got to happen. So I'm speaking it
We've
into existence now.
we have spoken it into existence for the
Yeah,
thousands upon thousands of people that I'm sure are going to watch and hang on every
yeah,
word of.
yeah. So
um,
full send.
full set. I love it. I know a lot of bands though that are having to do that kind of moonlighting as like tribute acts and stuff like that in order to make musicianship work. And so it's not an impossible task, but it takes a lot.
Yeah, luckily I am not talented. The other three could do that all day. I could not. I am way too poor of a musician to make that happen.
I can barely play my own stuff. You want me to play somebody else's? Come on.
Yeah, no shit.
Uh, all right. We're coming up in the hour, so I want to take. Usually, I just do end with something fun. This is the soundbite section. This is what it really is. This is the 15 seconds to make the algorithm happy. But so my lightning round questions for you: Skyline Chili or Gold Star?
Gold Star, not even a question.
Gold.
And I speak for
Wow.
everybody in the band, and nobody can say I don't.
No one can challenge you on
They
that.
all definitely agree with me on this. I guarantee you.
I do feel this is where sometimes I do feel like the poser Ohio, because I do feel like I default to saying Skyline Chili, but I feel like most people I know that are actually from the area go with Gold Star. What is it about Gold Star makes it better than Skyline?
Oh, okay. So I've never gotten watery chili at Gold Star.
Oh,
So there's that. Sorry. Also, Gold Star follows us on social media. So
that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
See, there's another thing that we've been talking about with some of our my friend group here, where like, you make a post and you randomly say, I eat Pop-Tarts after shows, and then Pop-Tarts is like in your DMs wanting to send you a box. So this will be the clip now. We send to Gold Star, get ourselves some chili, some coupons or something at least.
They have invited us once already, so I don't think
have
twice
they?
is out of they gave us a meal on them. They were cool as hell.
I will happily, as an Ohioan, have Gold Star sponsor this podcast. Like, let's go.
There we go.
What is the proper way to order an Ohio chili, or a Cincinnati chili, I should say? What's the proper way to order a Cincinnati chili?
Okay, two things. You got to decide if you want to go the Coney route or the Way route. And as long as you get it without beans, no way is wrong. That's my opinion. 3-way, 4-way, I don't care. Just don't get beans.
Just don't get beans. We've already made a lot of compromises to have the chili on top of the spaghetti, and now you got beans sticking out there. It's no fun. What's your do you guys have a post-show ritual? Do you have a post-show ritual? How you wind down, what you eat, what you do? What's your post-show ritual?
So now that I've established that I like Gold Star, if Gold Star's watching this, they need to turn off right here. So we go to Dixie Chili, which is another chili place.
That was third option. I didn't realize.
There's like 10 options.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure. But yeah.
Here's my thing is Dixie Chili's got a Euro, and I can get it at 2 a.m.
Oh.
So
there you go.
Yeah, Gold Star open up at 2 a.m. Maybe I'll start coming more after shows.
I feel like most of the time the answer for that does default to who is still open after I've got all the gear loaded up and everything's done. It's after midnight, and I need some food, and so the Denny's, the Waffle House, but now Dixie Chili. I don't know if this one will hit with you. Newport, Kentucky. See, there you are in Kentucky again, though, man.
Yeah, Kentucky makes good chili.
I'm gonna be driving past a Florence Y'all sign here in a second. We're gonna be. What are we doing here? No. I don't know if this one will resonate with you, but I have to ask because I am of that age and I happen to be a fan. Boomer or Burrow?
Oh, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Burrow just because I know him way better. I'm I'm not a Bengals fan, guys. I'm
You're not a
sorry.
Bengals fan.
I'm not really a
Trinko.
football fan,
I
to be
saw.
honest.
So speaking of, and once again, I'm not an Ohio football fan either. I like the 49ers, so I'm just as blasphemous as you are. But I saw like a social media post. You talk about social media. I saw one of your social media posts ends with "Go Birds," and that felt really just out of whack for a Cincinnati band.
Big shout out to Anthony, who helped record our last album. He would end every single phone call with "Go Birds." It did not matter who he was calling, and I couldn't just not, like, it was ingrained. I end my meetings at work with "Go Birds" now.
It's a verbal tick now. Just "Go Birds."
Yeah.
You mentioned having 3 venues just right there in your neighborhood, on your street. What's your favorite place to play?
Ooh, oh, that's tough. If we can ever make it happen again, the North Side Yacht Club, it's the best bar in America. But that was like a one-off. That's so rare that happens. We love playing the Southgate House Revival in Newport, Kentucky, 1.5 blocks away from Dixie Chili.
But over the river, man, over the river, right? Oh man. So was Southgate?
Yeah, Southgate House Revival.
House Revival. Cool place to play. Any other fun places you played?
Motor's cool. That's like literally my next door neighbor. Northside Tavern.
You're doxing yourself now. That's no fair.
It's fine. Everybody knows where I live. If you've ever gotten a package from Omni.Global, you could probably, send us a letter bomb.
So that is really interesting too. I thought, now that you've said that, now once again we're exposing some things. See, I thought that was maybe part of like a branding image that you were doing, like we're fighting back against the system. We're a division of Omnidyne Global, but you are a division of Omnidyne Global.
We are indeed. There's no escaping that. We've been acquired, and eventually BlackRock will take over.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're all owned by General Electric, BlackRock, and
this goes all the way,
whoever
to the almost tippy top.
All right, man. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much, Ben, for your honesty. Really interesting conversation, some philosophical stuff like that. My final question for you is just simply this: if people want to know more about Scarlet Street, want to hear your music, how do they find you on the evil algorithm? How do they find you
outside of the evil algorithm? We're Trying Records. They have all of our stuff. Bandcamp. And then our favorite website, scarletstreet.co. We're a British band. Yes, so it's .co. Not because it was available, because we wanted to be .co. Definitely wasn't. Yeah. No.
You
chose
it was to be different, or is there?
Yeah.
It was the only one available.
If it wasn't $300 a month,
Yeah, right. Until once again some corporation buys the domain while you're not paying attention, and then we play this whole game again.
Of course, cat and mouse.
Cat and mouse. Dude, this has really been a great conversation. Thank you so much. I'd love to do this again sometime. Get you other band members, whatever you're working on. Let's just figure it out. It'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll all be goofy together.
And you aren't far away, or too far away. So once you guys start playing again or whatever, I'll have to look out for it and come up north, man. We don't have enough. I don't know. Toledo's a weird scene too. Like we have some decent homegrown stuff, but like we don't get we don't got a little acts hitting us on the way through to anywhere. Yeah, there's only like 2 real spots to play.
Toledo's underrated. I mean, you do have people who come through, and I think you got to, your venues, the 2 you do have, seem decent. At least I see tours stop there every now and then, smaller ones, but
Yeah, smaller one. We got Frankie's, we got the Ottawa Tavern. The Ottawa Tavern had some controversy. They're kind of rebuilding. Both of them are like, I like Frankie's better. Ottawa Tavern's got like a small, like it's an awkward stage. Like I guess is more what it is. It used to have like the full like rails and stuff at the end of like the stage too. At least they've got rid of those now. Frankie's, you're literally playing in like the front window, which is actually kind of cool. But they're both small cap rooms, so we don't get. I think for a lot of bands that are touring, they don't want to limit themselves, even though it's probably a realistic place to play.
Yeah,
but they're like, oh no, man, it's like a 150 cap room. We're not playing that. And then it's like, okay, well, you're going to go to Detroit to play a 5.
Yeah, so many bands like
Yeah.
decide, okay, Cleveland is too close to, and I'm just like, man, I'm going to be real with you because people aren't doing this for Scarlet Street. People are not going to drive 200 miles to see you. I'm just going to be real with
Right.
you. Just go to Toledo. Just do it.
Just go to, and then, but that's just it. We're gonna go play Chicago. We're gonna play Detroit, and okay. You got a 250 cap. How many did you put in it? You still only put 80 people in it. Like
Exactly.
it's the same. So yeah.
We'll
But anyway,
hit Toledo.
all right,
We'll do Toledo.
let's go Toledo. That's right. I'll help make it happen. That feel like that's a Scarlet Street thing. You got Rob cheerleading for you. I'll cheerlead for you in Toledo here.
Oh, too kind. Too kind.
Okay. All right, man. That's all I got. Unless you got something else.
Nothing, man. I appreciate you making this happen.
No. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you one more time. This has been Ben from Scarlet Street. Go check him out.